They told me it was impossible. They laughed when I told them I would turn $6 into a fortune. But I understood something they did not. Money was never the true resource. $6 was merely a symbol. The real wealth sat quietly inside my mind. When I held those $6 in my hand, I did not see limitation. I closed my eyes and saw $900 million, 0 cents, already mine. I dared to claim it, in secret, when no one else believed. I moved in imagination, not in fear. I walked, spoke, and breathed as though I were already wealthy. Even when the world showed me lack, I showed the world my inner abundance. Each day I rose and declared to myself, "It is already done. It is already mine." I felt it. I touched it. I spent hours in that unseen world where $900 million, 0 cents was as common to me as air. Circumstances tried to mock me. The numbers, the bills, the opinions of others. All of them cried out, "Give up." But I understood they were merely shadows of old beliefs trying to hold on. I persisted beyond appearances. When doubts arose, I silenced them not with force, but with assurance. You are lying illusions. My reality is fixed in the unseen. And so it began. Tiny doors opened. Small opportunities blossomed. One by one, unseen hands arranged the visible world to match my inner certainty. Not by chance, not by hard labor, but by divine law. $6 had no power to create $900 million, 0 cents. But the assumption of being a multimillionaire, unwavering, alive, real, that was the cause. I never worked for $900 million, 0 cents. I simply received what I had already accepted. I made $900 million, 0 cents from $6 because I refused to let $6 define me. They will tell you that money is everything. They will point to their bank accounts, their assets, their ledgers, and they will convince you that wealth begins with possession. But I am here to tell you, with a certainty deeper than the oceans, that true wealth does not begin with what the eyes can see. It begins with the unseen riches of the mind. When I held $6 in my hand, I understood a secret that the world often overlooks. Those $6 were not my true capital. They were not my supply, nor were they my foundation. They were merely a symbol, a fleeting, temporary picture of what once occupied my mind. My true resource, my true fortune, was invisible. It lived and breathed within the garden of my imagination. For the man who believes only in what he sees is a prisoner of the visible. He is shackled to facts, to numbers, to statistics, and cannot move beyond them. But the man who dares to imagine, the one who claims unseen wealth as his own, becomes master over all facts, all appearances, all conditions. He creates out of thin air. He calls forth gold from places others see only dust. Imagination is more valuable than money because money follows imagination, not the other way around. Money is a shadow, a reflection, a consequence. Imagination is the cause, the root, the fountain from which every visible thing flows. It was never the $6 that mattered, it was the picture I painted inside myself. The picture of vast wealth, of overflowing abundance, of effortless possession. That picture, held faithfully, became the blueprint from which reality was compelled to build. When I looked at my $6, I did not see limitation. I did not bow before it. I did not whisper words of lack or fear. I blessed it as a symbol of the greater riches already mine. I treated it not as a prison, but as a seed. And I knew that if I watered that seed with faith, with vision, and with unwavering imagination, it would grow into a mighty tree whose branches would stretch beyond anything the senses could now grasp. You must understand this. The outer world rearranges itself to match the inner vision. This is not wishful thinking, it is law. The man who sees himself as poor, even if he holds $6 million, will find a way to lose it. The man who sees himself as wealthy, even with $6, will call into his world fortune upon fortune, until the visible world can no longer deny the unseen decree he has made. This is why the wise among us have always valued imagination above possessions. Possessions can be stolen, lost, or destroyed. But imagination, once disciplined and trusted, becomes an eternal wellspring. It needs no permission. It seeks no validation. It creates simply because it must, according to the pattern we impress upon it. When I chose to imagine myself wealthy, I was not pretending. I was creating. I was setting into motion a series of unseen forces that would move mountains, open doors, and command circumstances to align. My $6 were not a limitation, but a testimony to the power of beginning with the little you have, trusting that the unseen supply is infinite and already prepared for your reception. I tell you, had I needed $1 million that day, it would have come. Not because of the $6, but because of the certainty I carried within. Money is not the master, it is the obedient servant of imagination. When the mind is rich, the world must eventually comply. Therefore, never again look upon your present circumstances with fear or judgment. Look within. Build a palace in your imagination. Walk its halls. Touch its gold. Smell the sweet fragrance of its gardens. Know it is yours. For imagination holds a value the world cannot measure, and from it springs every treasure you will ever call your own. There was a time when I stood surrounded by nothing. No signs pointed to success. No voices cheered me forward. The world around me gave me no reason to believe that anything grand could happen. Yet within myself I assumed success so completely that it became more real to me than the silence, the emptiness, the absence of evidence. I did not wait for proof. I did not seek permission. I simply accepted that success was mine, unseen though it was, and trusted that the world would, in time, catch up to the certainty I carried. Assumption is the secret act of creation. It is the invisible brush with which you paint the masterpiece of your life. The man who waits to see before he believes will spend his days in the waiting room of life, always hoping, never receiving. But the man who assumes, who dares to claim the unseen, steps out of the line of beggars and walks boldly into the halls of kings. I understood that assumption was not mere wishing. It was not daydreaming. It was the deliberate acceptance of a reality that my senses could not yet confirm. It was living from the end, not toward it. It was thinking, feeling, and moving as one who already possessed what others still called a dream. It was wearing the crown long before anyone else saw it placed upon my head. Every day I woke up, not in the condition I saw with my eyes, but in the condition I saw within. I answered the world from the place of my assumed success. I made decisions, took steps, and spoke words, as if the thing desired was already accomplished. I did not act desperate. I did not plead with life. I stood firm in the inner knowing that what I had assumed must, by divine law, take form. There were moments, of course, when doubt tried to creep in, when the cold facts of my surroundings whispered, "You are a fool." When people laughed behind closed doors and circumstances seemed frozen. But even then, I held fast to my assumption. I turned away from the voices of fear and tuned myself to the reality I had claimed within. I spoke to myself with the authority of one who already possessed. I praised the unseen success, thanked it, celebrated it, and lived from it. The truth is that the world responds not to your begging, but to your certainty. It does not rearrange itself because you wish it would. It bends, folds, and reshapes itself around the assumptions you hold with unwavering faith. Assume a thing long enough, deeply enough, and the world cannot help but mirror it back to you. This is the silent power given to every man and woman. It does not require effort in the outer world. It does not demand toil or straining. It requires only that you believe you are already what you desire to be, and that you persist in that belief, even when the outer world refuses to agree. I did not make excuses. I did not explain my dreams to small minds. I quietly, joyfully, confidently assumed. I played the part in secret until life itself joined the game and lifted the curtain. What began as invisible became visible, and those who once doubted were forced to admit that something greater was at work. Understand this, and you will never fear again. Assumption is a creative force. It is not bound by the past. It is not limited by present circumstances. It answers only to the depth of your conviction. Assume you are successful. Assume you are wealthy. Assume you are loved, healed, favored. Assume it so completely that the world around you becomes powerless to deny it. When no evidence exists, assumption becomes the evidence. When nothing can be seen, assumption becomes the vision. Hold fast, live boldly, and know that what you assume in faith must one day reveal itself in form. The mind that persists is greater than the facts that surround it. Reality itself, though it may appear solid and immovable, is nothing more than clay in the hands of a determined soul. It is not the facts of today that determine the future, but the relentless insistence of one who refuses to bow to appearances. The present moment may scream of lack, of failure, of defeat, but it holds no real power against the mind that knows where it is going and refuses to yield. I understood early that circumstance is a liar. It reflects only what I once believed, not what I now claim. The facts that crowd around me are the echoes of old thoughts, old fears, old doubts. They are not prophecy, they are not destiny. They are the remnants of yesterday's imagination. And just as they were created, they can be destroyed, reformed, lifted into new shapes by the power of a mind that persists. Persistence is not stubbornness. It is not mindless repetition. It is the quiet, steady conviction that what I have imagined is more real than what my senses presently report. It is knowing beyond all visible signs that the world must eventually conform to the image I now hold within. The mountain must move. The sea must part. Circumstance must yield, not because I fight it, but because I outlast it with faith. Every great change, every miracle that has ever graced this world began with a mind that refused to be intimidated by facts. The fact said it was impossible. The fact said it had never been done. The fact said it could not be. But the persistent mind answered back, "It is already done." And by the quiet, unseen force of sustained belief, the facts themselves began to crumble and rebuild in a new form. There were many moments when the world around me laughed, when it pointed its finger and said, "Be realistic," when it told me to settle, to accept what is. But I knew that what is only the ghost of what once was imagined. And if I would persist in a new assumption, a new world must be born to match it. I did not argue with circumstances. I did not plead with life to change. I stood within myself, silent and unmoved, holding the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I returned to it morning and night, not with force, but with love. I revisited the scene of my victory so often that it became more familiar to me than the very facts that opposed it. I built the new world within until the old world had no choice but to dissolve before it. Understand this, reality is not permanent. It bends, it shifts, it breaks before the will of a mind that persists. It may not yield immediately, it may appear to harden and resist, but that resistance is an illusion. It is the last cry of a dying belief. Hold fast, do not waver, persist, and you will see even the hardest facts melt before the quiet heat of your sustained vision. There is no power in circumstance unless you give it your belief. There is no permanence in facts unless you grant them authority. Withdraw your faith from what you see and place it boldly in what you have claimed within. Live from the feeling of already having. Think, speak, and act as if it is already so. And reality, faithful to the law it cannot break, will conform itself to your persistent assumption. The mind that persists does not wait to see, it knows. It does not bow to time, it masters it. It does not beg the world to change, it commands it through unwavering vision. And in the end, reality, that once proud and stubborn world, must lay itself at the feet of the one who simply refused to give up. Long before the world called it true, I lived as though it already was. In the stillness of my mind, in the secret chambers of my heart, I carried myself as one who possessed the $900 million, 0 cents. I did not wait for the evidence to permit me. I did not consult my bank account to approve my imagination. I assumed the feeling of my desire fulfilled and made it my dwelling place. I moved, thought, and breathed from the end, as if the result I sought had already unfolded. This way of being is the key to all transformation. It is not about striving to get somewhere, nor about longing for a future day. It is about embodying the reality of your dream now, in this very moment, so that the outer world has no choice but to reorganize itself to match your inner certainty. The world is a mirror, and it reflects not what you wish, but what you are conscious of being. I did not allow my senses to dictate my belief. The senses are slow servants. They show only the results of former thoughts. If I had waited for physical proof to believe, I would have waited a lifetime. Instead, I turned inward. I clothed myself mentally in the feeling of success. I lived the conversations, the celebrations, the quiet confidence of one whose wealth was a settled fact. I would close my eyes and walk through halls lined with the fruits of my fortune. I would hear my name spoken with admiration. I would feel the weight of the responsibility and the ease of abundance. It was not a distant hope. It was a present possession. I felt it with such richness and such detail that the outer world seemed pale in comparison to the vividness within me. Every decision I made as the man who already had what he desired. I did not think, one day when I am rich I will. No, I thought, as one who already is. What would I choose? I answered every situation from the reality I had accepted in mind. I aligned my feelings, my actions, my assumptions to the end I had claimed. It did not matter what appeared before me. Lack may have shown its face, but I answered with abundance. Delay may have whispered in my ear, but I smiled with the knowledge that I already possessed. Doubt may have knocked at the door, but I lived so firmly in the end that it found no place to settle. Living in the end is not pretending, it is creating. It is not an act of deception, it is an act of faith. It is stepping across the threshold of what seems possible and daring to abide in the certainty of what your soul has already seen. It is taking possession before the world agrees, knowing that by doing so, the world must eventually follow. I did not chase the $900 million 0 cents. I did not run after opportunity in desperation. I rested inwardly in the assumption that it was already mine. And from that place of stillness, doors opened. Opportunities flowed. Ideas came. People appeared. Not by force, but by the natural law that what is held faithfully within must be expressed without. The mind that lives in the end is invincible. It is untouched by appearances, unshaken by time, and immune to the opinions of others. It knows that what it assumes itself to be, it will inevitably experience. By living as if my success was already a fact, I summoned it forth into visible form. Long before the $900 million 0 cents found its way to my hands, it lived in my heart. It lived in my conversations, in my dreams, in the feeling that filled my every breath. And because I lived there faithfully, it had no choice but to find me. The world I see with my eyes is nothing but the echo of the beliefs I hold within. Life does not happen to me, it happens through me. Every event, every meeting, every circumstance is drawn into my experience by the silent magnet of my inner convictions. The outer world, with all its noise and movement, is but a mirror reflecting the invisible attitudes of my mind. When I grasped this truth, everything changed. I stopped wrestling with appearances. I ceased the endless struggle to rearrange the outer pieces of life, as if fixing the mirror would somehow change the face it reflected. Instead, I turned within. I understood that if I would alter my world, I must first alter the beliefs that govern my perception of it. I saw clearly that my success, my wealth, my $900 million 0 cents were not prizes to be chased in the outer world. They were the natural outpicturing of an inner assumption. Long before they became visible to the senses, they were alive in my belief. I had already accepted them as true. I walked, talked, and moved in the feeling of already being the man who possessed them. I knew that the world had no choice but to reflect back to me the image I held. Life is impartial. It does not respond to hopes or wishes. It responds to what I deeply believe to be true. If I believe in lack, life will arrange itself to confirm my belief. If I believe in abundance, abundance will flow to me in ways both expected and unexpected. The world does not argue, it simply mirrors. There were times when appearances mock me, times when the evidence seemed to laugh in my face. Yet I knew that what I experienced outwardly was only the delayed harvest of old beliefs, already fading, already dying. I refused to accept them as permanent. I held steadfast to the inner reality I had chosen, and eventually the outer world bent to match the inner conviction. I realized that the secret was not in striving harder, but in believing deeper. It was not about changing people or forcing circumstances. It was about becoming internally the man I desired to be, until the world, like a faithful servant, reshaped itself to honor my command. Every meeting, every opportunity, every so-called chance event that led to my fortune was born first in the unseen world of thought and feeling. I attracted them not because I chased them, but because I lived in a state of being where they naturally appeared. The world rearranged itself because I had rearranged myself. I understood that every outer experience is nothing more than an announcement of my inner state. If I wanted to know what I truly believed, I had only to look around me, not with judgment or fear, but with understanding, for what is seen can be changed the moment the unseen is changed. Reality is pliable. It molds itself around my dominant beliefs. I did not need the world's permission to change. I did not wait for circumstances to improve. I improved the vision within, and the circumstances obeyed. I abandoned the need to struggle against appearances and instead invested my energy into assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That feeling became my reality long before the facts agreed with it. The world is a mirror, faithful and unrelenting. It will not lie to me, but it will also not resist me. The moment I change my conception of myself, the world must respond. The moment I assume a new belief with conviction, life bends itself to that image. The $900 million 0 cents was not a conquest of the world, but a conquest of my own inner convictions. It was not seized from outside, it was called forth from within. And the world, ever faithful, merely reflected the certainty that I had long carried in the secret places of my soul. Faith is not a passive wish or a fleeting hope. It is a deep, unwavering loyalty to a world that cannot yet be seen. It is an allegiance to the unseen realm of possibility, a commitment to the vision that resides in the heart long before it is visible in the world. Faith is not loyalty to the facts of the present. It is loyalty to the dreams and desires of the heart which exist in the unseen, waiting to manifest. It is the act of choosing to believe in what is not yet tangible, even when the world around you offers evidence to the contrary. In the beginning, when I dared to dream of $900 million, 0 cents, there was no outward sign that such a thing could ever be mine. The facts were against me. The world was full of limitations, doubts, and obstacles. Yet I chose to remain loyal to the vision I had formed within. I did not waver in my commitment to the unseen world of my desire. In the face of lack, I stood firm in my belief that the world of abundance was already mine, though it had not yet appeared. My faith was my loyalty. I refused to let my eyes dictate my reality. I looked beyond the surface into the realm of pure potential, and I trusted that what I had conceived within would surely find its way into the outer world. Faith, in this sense, is not a passive acceptance of what is. It is an active declaration of what will be. I did not wait for life to show me what was possible. I created it in my mind and held it in my heart. I became loyal to that unseen vision, nurturing it with my thoughts, feelings, and actions. Every day I aligned myself with the reality I wished to see. I believed in it so fully that the world around me had no choice but to conform. I did not give my loyalty to the appearance of things. I gave it to the inner world I was shaping. In the early stages of my journey, it was tempting to be swayed by what I saw. The external world, with its doubts, disappointments, and lack, sought to draw me away from my vision. But I knew that to yield to the outer world would be to betray the inner one. My faith was a constant. I did not allow the fleeting circumstances of the moment to steal my commitment to what I had already seen in my heart. I did not make the mistake of measuring my worth by what the world reflected back to me in the present. Instead, I measured my worth by the faith I held in the unseen world. I remained loyal to my inner vision, trusting that the universe would bring forth the conditions necessary for its fulfillment. The journey was not without its challenges, but my loyalty to the unseen never wavered. Every challenge, every obstacle was simply an opportunity to prove my faith, to show the world that I was unwavering in my belief. I did not let the world define me. I defined my world through the power of my loyalty to my desires. The key to manifesting anything in this world lies in this loyalty. To be loyal to the unseen is to be unwavering in the face of appearances. It is to trust that what you have seen in your mind is more real than what you see with your eyes. It is the refusal to be swayed by temporary setbacks or fleeting moments of doubt. It is the deep inner knowing that the world must bend to the will of a mind that is faithful to its own vision. Through loyalty to the unseen world, I called forth $900 million, 0 cents. I did not wait for the world to change. I changed my perception of it. I remained faithful to the unseen, and in time the outer world mirrored that faith, bringing forth all that I had long held within. Faith is not just belief. It is the force that transforms what is invisible into what is visible. It is the loyalty that turns dreams into reality. And with unwavering faith, everything I desired was made manifest. In conclusion, the journey to manifesting my desires was not one of effort, but of faith, vision, and loyalty to the unseen world. It was not the $6, 0 cents I had, but the immense power of my imagination, assumption, persistence, and unwavering belief that brought the $900 million, 0 cents into my experience. The external world is but a reflection of the internal world. When I aligned my thoughts, feelings, and actions to my desires, the universe had no choice but to respond in kind. What you hold in your mind, what you feel in your heart, and what you believe in your soul are the forces that shape your reality. Do not wait for the world to change first. Change the way you see the world, change your inner beliefs, and the world will reshape itself around you. Remain loyal to your vision. even when the present circumstances seem to tell a different story. When you live in the end, assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled and persist through every challenge. The world must mirror your inner conviction. I encourage you to hold steadfast to your dreams, to never waver in your loyalty to the unseen world of your desire. As you do, you will see your own world shift, bend, and align to the life you have already imagined. The power is within you, and your desires are already yours. Thank you for joining me on this journey of self-discovery and manifestation. May you always remain faithful to the vision you hold, knowing that everything you seek is already within your grasp. My friends, listen carefully. There are moments in life when you are betrayed, when whispers of deceit move behind closed doors, when the hands that once held yours strike you in silence. They smile to your face but plot behind your back. They hurt you in secret, believing no one will ever know. But the great truth is this: nothing remains hidden forever. The universe operates on laws unbreakable, and the energy we put out must return to us. Every lie told, every deception spun, every injustice committed, it all circles back to its source. You need not chase them. You need not unmask them. God Himself will do it. Do you not see? The betrayal was never meant to break you. It was meant to elevate you. If you have been wronged, know this: you are being positioned for something greater. Your spirit is being refined, your path is being cleared, and those who sought to harm you will one day stand exposed. This is not about vengeance. No, vengeance is the work of the small-minded. This is about divine justice. The same ones who whisper about you in secret will one day have to watch your rise in silence. The same ones who doubted you will one day witness your transformation. Remain still, do not react. Your silence is your power. Let them believe they have won. Let them believe they have escaped unseen. The hands of time are already moving. And when God exposes them, the world will see the truth they worked so hard to hide. So, lift your head. Walk forward in faith. What was meant for your harm is already turning in your favor. The unseen forces of the universe operate with absolute precision. Every action, every intention, every thought is recorded in the grand design of life. There is no escaping it, no avoiding it, no covering it up for eternity. When someone chooses to act in deceit, when they whisper lies, when they manipulate and wound in the shadows, they believe they are safe. They believe that their actions will never see the light of day, that the harm they cause will never return to them. But they do not understand the fundamental truth that governs all existence. Nothing is hidden from divine justice. For a time it may seem as though they have succeeded. They move through life appearing untouched, their hands unsoiled, their conscience undisturbed. But this is only an illusion, a fleeting moment where darkness believes itself victorious. What they fail to realize is that every action creates an echo. Every secret wound inflicted upon another carries an inevitable consequence. The universe does not forget. The unseen forces that uphold the balance of life are always working, moving, orchestrating events to restore what was broken, to reveal what was concealed. Consider the way nature itself operates. The seed buried in the soil does not remain hidden forever. With time it emerges, breaking through the earth, stretching toward the light. So too do the deeds of men. What was done in secret must one day be seen. The one who betrayed in silence will find themselves standing in the full exposure of truth. The one who deceived will be revealed for what they are. There is no darkness that can hold its power against the light. Many times those who have been wronged feel an urge to expose the injustice themselves. They long for the world to see the truth, to make others aware of the pain that was inflicted upon them. But divine justice does not require your interference. You do not need to chase down lies or seek to unmask those who have harmed you. That is not your burden to carry. Truth does not need a defender. It is powerful enough to rise on its own. Look at the stories throughout history. How many times have those who sought to conceal their wrongdoings been brought to ruin? How often has the one who thought they had escaped consequence found themselves suddenly exposed? The greatest downfalls are not those brought about by men, but by the unseen hand of justice that ensures no one escapes the weight of their own actions. Those who built their lives upon deception will find their foundations crumbling beneath them. But what about you? What about the one who has been wronged? What about the one who has suffered betrayal, slander, and silent wounds? You must understand this. Your healing does not come from witnessing their downfall. Your healing comes from releasing the pain, stepping forward in faith, and knowing that justice is already in motion. You do not need to concern yourself with when or how it will happen. But the moment the harm was done to you, the process of restoration began. There is a higher order, a divine intelligence that sees beyond what the human eye perceives. It sees the hidden tears, the silent prayers, the moments of anguish no one else witnessed. And it is in those very moments that your redemption is being written. The same way the universe ensures that no injustice goes unseen, it also ensures that no suffering goes unanswered. Trust in the timing of divine justice. Sometimes exposure does not come immediately. Sometimes it takes years for the truth to be fully revealed. But do not mistake delay for denial. What is hidden today will be undeniable tomorrow. The greater the deception, the greater the revelation. The longer the lie persists, the more dramatic the exposure will be. Those who have harmed others may continue to walk freely for a time, but their steps are already leading them toward the unveiling of their truth. Your responsibility is not to wait for their downfall, but to rise above it. Do not allow bitterness to consume you. Do not let the actions of others imprison your mind. True power lies in knowing that nothing can be taken from you that will not be restored in greater measure. What was lost will be returned. What was broken will be made whole. The betrayals you endured were not the end of your story. They were the beginning of your transformation. Let go of the need to watch their exposure. It will come when the time is right. Let go of the desire to make others see what they have done. The truth will reveal itself, whether you witness it or not. The best thing you can do is continue moving forward, knowing that you are divinely protected, that nothing escapes the eyes of justice, and that every wrong will be made right. The universe does not forget. God does not overlook. What was done in darkness is already being prepared for the light. Trust that. Walk in that faith. And when the day comes when the truth is laid bare, you will not feel anger or the need for vengeance. You will feel peace, knowing that divine justice has always been working in your favor. The world around you is nothing more than a reflection of the world within you. Every experience, every interaction, every betrayal, these are manifestations of the inner state you carry, the beliefs you hold, and the energy you cultivate. When someone deceives you, when you are wounded by betrayal, it is easy to believe that the external world is acting against you. But the truth is far deeper. The way you process that betrayal, the way you choose to respond, is what shapes the reality that follows. Your inner world is the foundation upon which all things in your life are built. Many people, when faced with deceit, react with anger, resentment, or a deep need for justice. They want to see the person who wronged them suffer, to see them exposed, to ensure that the world knows what was done. This reaction is natural, but it is also limiting. When your energy is tied to the wrongdoing of another, you continue to be entangled in their actions. You allow their betrayal to dictate your emotions, your thoughts, and ultimately your life. Justice is not something that needs to be forced. It unfolds according to the laws of the universe, and these laws operate on energy. If you remain aligned with faith, with trust, with a deep knowing that all things will be made right in their own time, then you allow divine order to work on your behalf. But if you allow fear to consume you, fear that they will never be exposed, fear that they will never face consequences, then you disrupt that order. You shift from a state of power to a state of helplessness. Because fear is the great illusion that makes you believe you must take control. The moment you realize that your reality is shaped from within, you take back your power. You begin to understand that no betrayal, no deception, no external event can break you unless you allow it to. When someone wounds you in secret, they expect you to be consumed by that pain. They expect their actions to alter your course, to keep you in a state of confusion or anger. But what they do not realize is that their actions hold no real power. Your response is what determines the outcome. Think of two individuals who experience the same betrayal. One is filled with bitterness. They replay the events over and over in their mind, allowing the pain to dictate their emotions. They become guarded, distrusting, and carry that wound into every future interaction. Their reality becomes shaped by this single act of betrayal because they have not released it from within. The other person, however, recognizes the pain but refuses to let it take root. They do not deny what happened, but they also do not allow it to define them. They move forward in faith, trusting that justice is inevitable, that life will correct itself without their interference. Their inner world remains strong, unshaken, and as a result, their outer reality follows suit. The difference between these two individuals is not what happened to them, but how they chose to process it. One remains stuck in the external world, focusing on what was done to them. The other remained rooted in their internal power, knowing that nothing can be taken from them that will not be restored in greater measure. This is the truth that so many fail to see. What happens to you is never as important as how you respond. Betrayal may shake you, but it does not have to break you. Deceit may wound you, but it does not have to define you. If you believe that you are at the mercy of others, that your peace is dependent on whether or not they are exposed, then you have already given away your power. But if you understand that your peace comes from within, that justice is not yours to force, but yours to trust in, then nothing can shake you. There is an order to life, a balance that cannot be disrupted. The same way the sun must rise, the same way the tides must shift, justice must unfold. What is hidden must come to light. What is taken must be returned. But the timeline is not yours to control. Your only responsibility is to stay aligned with the energy that ensures you remain in a state of elevation rather than suffering. There is a simple truth that few understand. The moment you detach from the need to see justice, justice begins to unfold. When you are no longer consumed by whether or not they will be exposed, the exposure happens effortlessly. When you are no longer waiting for their downfall, it arrives without warning. This is because your energy has shifted. You are no longer blocking divine order with your own resistance. Instead, you are allowing it to move freely, to bring balance, as it always does. The ones who wronged you, who lied to you, who betrayed you, they have already set their fate in motion. The moment they acted in deceit, they placed themselves on a path that leads to their own exposure. You do not need to stand in their way. You do not need to wait and watch. The only thing you must do is continue forward, ensuring that your heart remains unburdened by their actions. When you truly understand this, you will no longer live in fear. You will no longer hold on to anger. You will no longer ask when justice will come, because you will know that it already has. The same force that allowed the betrayal to happen is the same force that will correct it. The only question is whether you will remain bound to the pain or rise above it. Everything begins within. The world outside of you is simply a reflection of what you carry inside. If you hold on to anger, you will see more reasons to be angry. If you hold on to faith, you will see how effortlessly justice unfolds. Your peace does not depend on whether or not others are punished. Your peace depends on whether or not you choose to remain in alignment with a higher truth, that no injustice goes unseen. Let go of the need to control. Let go of the fear that justice will not be served. It is already happening. Focus only on ensuring that your inner world remains steady, because when your inner world is in order, your outer world will follow. No one who has wronged you has the power to shape your destiny. Only you do. And when you stand firm in that truth, everything else must align in your favor. There is an order to life that cannot be rushed, manipulated, or controlled. Everything unfolds according to a divine plan, and though you may not always see it, that plan is always in motion. When you have been wronged, when someone has betrayed you, it is natural to want justice immediately. You want to see their actions exposed, their deceit laid bare for the world to see. But divine order does not operate on human impatience. It moves according to a higher wisdom, one that ensures that everything is revealed at the exact moment it is meant to be. There is no such thing as an action without consequence. The moment someone acts in deception, the seeds of their exposure are planted. But just as a seed takes time to grow, so does the unfolding of divine justice. You may look around and wonder why they seem to prosper despite their wrongdoing, why they continue on without consequences, while you are left carrying the weight of what they have done. But what you do not see is the foundation beneath them beginning to crack. What is hidden will always come to light, and what is built on lies cannot stand. The challenge is to trust in this process, to release the need to control how and when justice arrives. The more you try to force it, the more you entangle yourself in the energy of what was done to you. The more you watch and wait, hoping for their downfall, the more you remain connected to their actions. True power comes in letting go, in knowing that divine justice does not require your interference. There is a perfect moment for everything. A flower does not bloom before its time. The sun does not rise before the night has run its course. And just as nature follows a rhythm, so does the unfolding of truth. If justice were rushed, it would not be complete. If someone was exposed before the right moment, the full weight of their actions would not be felt. But when the time is right, when every piece is in place, their actions will be revealed in a way that cannot be denied. What appears to be a delay is actually preparation. The universe is aligning everything so that when truth comes to the surface, it does so in a way that is undeniable, irreversible, and complete. This is why you must resist the urge to act out of impatience. If you try to expose someone before divine order has set the stage, you may only see temporary consequences. But when you trust in timing, when you step back and allow the process to unfold, the exposure will be undeniable. Many people who betray others believe that they have escaped consequences simply because nothing happens immediately. They continue on, believing that their actions have gone unnoticed, that they have succeeded in their deception. But what they do not realize is that every action carries an energy, and that energy must return to them. They are walking toward their own downfall, step by step, unaware that the very thing they try to avoid is already set in motion. You may not see the storm coming, but that does not mean it is not on its way. The one who wronged you may appear untouched by consequences, but what is happening beneath the surface is far greater than what you can see. The delays are not denials. They are simply the universe ensuring that when justice comes, it is undeniable. The more you trust in this, the more peace you will find. When you understand that timing is perfect, that nothing is forgotten, you release the burden of carrying anger, resentment, and frustration. You no longer wake up wondering when they will face what they have done. Instead, you move forward, knowing that their actions have already determined their fate. The law of cause and effect cannot be broken. What is given must be received, and what is hidden must be revealed. The moment you surrender to this truth, you free yourself. You no longer need to chase justice, because you understand that justice is inevitable. You do not need to wait and watch because you trust that everything is happening exactly as it should. Your focus shifts from them to yourself, from their actions to your own healing. And when you do this, you rise above the pain, the betrayal, and the need for validation. You step into a space where their actions no longer have power over you. Let them believe they have succeeded. Let them think they have escaped. It does not matter, because the unseen forces of life are already working. The same way the sun must rise, the same way the tides must shift, truth must come to light. It is not a matter of if, but when. And when that moment arrives, everything will fall into place in a way that only divine order can orchestrate. So release your worries. Let go of the need to see their downfall. Shift your focus back to yourself, to your own growth, to your own peace. The timing is not in your hands, but that is a blessing, not a burden. Trust that all things are happening in perfect order, and when the moment comes, you will see that justice was never delayed. It was simply being prepared in a way that no one could deny. There is immense power in silence. When you have been wronged, when someone has betrayed your trust or sought to harm you in secret, your first instinct may be to react, to defend yourself, to expose them, to make sure the world sees the truth. But the greatest strength lies not in retaliation, not in loud confrontations or desperate attempts to force justice, but in the quiet certainty that truth cannot remain hidden. What has been done in darkness must come to light, and you do not have to be the one to reveal it. Silence is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is the highest form of control, for it shows that you trust in a power greater than immediate revenge. When you remain silent, you allow the universe to do what it does best, balance the scales in ways that are beyond human understanding. The one who wronged you thrives on reaction. They want to see you struggle, to see you chase justice, to know that they still have a hold on your emotions. But when you give them nothing, no response, no acknowledgement, you strip them of that power. There is a divine intelligence at work that sees all things, knows all intentions, and moves in ways that cannot be interfered with. When you try to force justice, when you seek revenge, you place yourself in the same energy as those who have harmed you. You entangle yourself in their chaos, making yourself a part of their story rather than freeing yourself from it. But when you step back, when you choose silence, you allow the universe to move in its own way, and its way is always perfect. What is done in the shadows cannot remain there forever. Lies, deceit, and betrayal carry an energy that cannot be sustained indefinitely. The weight of dishonesty always becomes too heavy for the one carrying it. Eventually, they expose themselves, not because you fought to reveal the truth, but because truth is too powerful to be contained. Many believe that silence means surrender, that by not speaking out, you are allowing injustice to continue. But silence is not surrender, it is strategy. It is understanding that timing is everything and that rushing the process will only dilute the outcome. There is a time to speak, but it is never in anger, never in a desperate attempt to force someone to admit what they have done. The truth does not need your help to stand. It will reveal itself when the moment is right. Imagine a seed planted in the earth. You do not need to dig it up every day to prove that it is growing. You do not need to shout at the soil, demanding that it break open so the roots can emerge. You simply trust that nature is doing its work, and in time, what was hidden beneath the surface will break through for all to see. The same is true of the truth. You do not need to expose it. You do not need to force it. You simply need to wait. And when the time is right, it will emerge on its own. The most dangerous person is not the one who reacts impulsively, but the one who moves in silence. Silence is the ultimate form of strength because it shows that you are unshaken. It shows that you do not need validation, that you are not seeking approval, that you are not dependent on anyone else's perception of justice. The one who betrayed you will be waiting for a response, expecting a reaction. When you give them none, you shift the power dynamic entirely. They may assume they have won, they may believe they have escaped consequences, but what they do not realize is that silence is not the absence of action, it is the greatest action of all. It signals that you are not playing their game, that you have removed yourself from their reach, and that whatever happens next is no longer in your hands, but in the hands of something far greater. When you are silent, you are listening. You are attuned to the subtle movements of the universe, watching as things begin to fall into place in ways you could never have orchestrated yourself. And when the moment arrives, when truth finally breaks through, it will do so in a way that no one can deny. The exposure will be complete, undeniable, and absolute. The greatest victories are won in silence. The most powerful people are not those who announce their every move, but those who understand that patience and stillness are their greatest weapons. Do not waste your energy trying to prove yourself. Do not chase validation. Do not seek revenge. Trust that the universe is already at work and the truth is making its way to the surface. Let them think they have won. Let them believe they have escaped. None of it matters, because what is meant to be revealed will be revealed. And when it is, you will be standing in peace, untouched by the chaos they try to bring into your life. Silence is not just your weapon, it is your shield. Use it and watch as justice unfolds in ways you never imagined. Your energy is sacred. It is the essence of your being, the invisible force that shapes your reality and the source from which all things flow in your life. When you have been wronged, betrayed, or hurt by those who sought to diminish you, it is easy to fall into the trap of resentment. It is easy to replay the pain, to dwell on the injustice, and to let anger take root in your heart. But you must resist this temptation. You must understand that your energy is too precious to be wasted on bitterness, too powerful to be entangled with those who have no place in your future. The moment you allow resentment to consume you, you lower your vibration. You begin to live in reaction rather than in creation. You shift from being a master of your destiny to being a prisoner of the past. Every thought of revenge, every moment spent reliving the betrayal, is energy that could have been used to build, to heal, to grow. The universe responds not to your pain, but to your state of being. And if you dwell in bitterness, you will only attract more experiences that reinforce that energy. Let go, not for them, but for yourself. Let go, because your peace is too valuable to be disturbed by those who were never meant to stay in your life. The ones who wronged you will face their reckoning. That is not your concern. The universal laws cannot be escaped. What is given is always returned, and what is sent out always comes back. Those who betrayed your trust, those who acted with deceit, will find themselves entangled in the very energy they put into the world. Your role is not to watch, not to anticipate their downfall, not to seek validation in their suffering. Your role is to elevate, to rise above, to walk forward, unburdened by the past. There is no victory in watching another fall. True victory is in knowing that they no longer have the power to affect your mind, your heart, or your spirit. That is the highest form of freedom. You must learn to protect your energy as fiercely as you would protect a priceless treasure, because that is exactly what it is. Do not let anger dictate your actions. Do not let betrayal harden your heart. The greatest test is to remain open, to remain trusting, to remain full of love even after experiencing pain. This does not mean you allow those who hurt you back into your life. It does not mean you ignore the lessons. It simply means you refuse to become like them. You must rise above the energy that tried to break you. When you carry the weight of resentment, you are still tied to the one who hurt you. You are still allowing them space in your thoughts, still permitting them to drain your energy. But the moment you release it, the moment you choose peace over revenge, you take back your power. There is a divine intelligence governing all things. Nothing goes unnoticed. No action is without consequence. The same force that allowed the sun to rise this morning is the force that ensures justice. You do not need to concern yourself with how or when it will happen. You only need to trust that it will. And in the meantime, you must guard your energy with everything you have. Surround yourself with light, with love, with things that nourish your soul. Focus on what you are creating, not what has been destroyed. Align your thoughts with abundance, not lack. Fill your days with gratitude rather than anger, because what you focus on expands, and if you continue to focus on the betrayal, you will only prolong its hold over you. But if you focus on your growth, on your healing, on your elevation, the past will fade and a new reality will take its place. The world does not reward bitterness. It rewards those who refuse to be defined by their wounds. It rewards those who choose resilience, who choose grace, who choose to rise despite what has been done to them. The best revenge is not to seek revenge at all, but to build a life so full, so abundant, so beautiful that those who sought to hurt you become irrelevant. You are too powerful to be diminished by temporary pain. You are too sacred to let the darkness of others pull you down. Your energy is your most valuable possession. Protect it. Do not waste it on those who do not deserve it. Do not lower yourself to match the frequency of betrayal. Instead, elevate so high that they can no longer reach you. Let the universe handle what you cannot. Let divine justice unfold in its own time, and in the meantime, remain unwavering in your peace, unshaken in your joy, and untouchable in your strength. Because that is how you truly win, not by seeking their downfall, but by rising so high that their actions no longer matter. Betrayal is a painful experience, one that shakes the very foundation of trust and security. When someone you cared for, confided in, or supported turns against you, it can feel like the end of something significant. But what if betrayal is not the end, but the beginning? What if it is not meant to break you, but to position you for something far greater? Life's most profound transformations often come wrapped in the disguise of disappointment. The very thing that was meant to harm you, to discourage you, to set you back, can become the foundation upon which your greatest elevation is built. The moment someone betrays you, you are given a choice: to become bitter or to become better. Most people allow betrayal to consume them, letting anger, pain, and resentment take root in their hearts. They replay the moment, trying to understand why it happened, questioning what they could have done differently. But focusing on the betrayal itself keeps you trapped in its energy. The real shift happens when you recognize that betrayal is often a sign that you are outgrowing your current environment. Some people are only meant to be in your life for a season. When they turn against you, it is not because you were not good enough or because you were unworthy of loyalty. It is because their role in your journey has ended. The betrayal is simply the way the universe moves them out of your path. If they had remained, they would have hindered your growth, kept you stagnant, or delayed the opportunities that are meant for you. Instead of mourning their departure, begin to see it as divine redirection. When you are wronged, deceived, or abandoned, it is easy to see yourself as the victim. But you must shift your perspective. What if betrayal is not happening to you, but happening for you? What if it is a tool, not to destroy you, but to elevate you? Throughout history, those who have risen to greatness have often experienced deep betrayal before their breakthrough. It is almost as if the betrayal serves as a final test, a moment that forces you to choose whether you will succumb to the pain or rise above it. Think about it. Every betrayal reveals something. It exposes the true nature of people, removes those who do not belong in your future, and strengthens your discernment. It forces you to rely not on human validation, but on divine direction. And when you no longer seek external approval, you become unstoppable. There is a hidden blessing in every painful experience. The very people who conspired against you, who lied to you, who tried to break you, unknowingly played a role in your elevation. They thought they were harming you, but in reality, they were pushing you into a greater destiny. Had they been loyal, you might have remained comfortable in a space that was too small for you. Had they been true, you might have stayed in relationships or environments that were no longer aligned with your growth. But because they betrayed you, you were forced to step into something new. The process of elevation is rarely smooth. It often comes with loss, with endings that feel unfair, with pain that seems unbearable. But if you embrace the process, you will begin to see that everything is working for your highest good. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. You are not losing, you are being positioned. What was meant to harm you will become your testimony. The pain you endured will serve as proof of your resilience, your strength, and your ability to overcome. Do not waste time seeking revenge or trying to prove your worth to those who could not see it. The greatest revenge is not to retaliate, but to elevate. Let them watch as you rise beyond what they ever imagined. Let them see that their betrayal did not break you, but built you. When you focus on your growth, your healing, and your purpose, you rob betrayal of its power. You transform pain into wisdom, disappointment into fuel, and setbacks into stepping stones. Everything that was meant to destroy you will become part of the story that inspires others. You will look back on this moment and realize that if it had not been for the betrayal, you would not have reached the heights you were destined for. If they had not walked away, you would not have discovered your strength. If they had not deceived you, you would not have learned to trust in divine timing rather than human loyalty. Hold your head high. Do not let the actions of others define your future. Do not allow their betrayal to diminish your light. What they meant for harm, the universe is turning for good. Your elevation is coming. Your breakthrough is inevitable. The very thing that was meant to bring you down is what will lift you higher. Stay focused, stay faithful, and watch how everything begins to align in your favor. Betrayal is never the end of your story. It is the turning point. It is the moment when you are given the choice to rise above, to trust in the greater plan, and to allow the pain to transform you instead of breaking you. Those who wronged you did not derail your destiny. They unknowingly positioned you for something greater. What was meant to harm you will become your testimony, and your elevation will be undeniable. Do not waste energy on resentment or revenge. The greatest response to betrayal is to thrive, to grow beyond the limitations others tried to place on you, and to step fully into your purpose. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should, and in time you will look back and understand why things had to happen the way they did. Trust the process, keep your energy sacred, stay aligned with faith, and know that your breakthrough is coming. Thank you. There is a power that moves through you, a force so intimate that it cannot be separated from your being. In the moments when life feels heavy, when obstacles seem insurmountable, and when you feel as though you are walking alone, know this: God is standing by you. Not in some distant heaven, not as an outside force waiting to intervene, but as the breath in your lungs, the stillness behind your thoughts, the whisper that tells you to rise even when the world says you cannot. When the world seems against you, dare to believe in the unseen. Dare to trust that your current suffering is not the end of your story. That which you assume as truth in the silence of your mind will shape the path before you. Silence the noise of fear, now hear it, the voice within. That still, small voice does not cry in despair. It does not bow before circumstances. It simply knows you are held, you are loved, you are guided. If you knew beyond doubt that God was with you, would you fear the storm? If you understood that your trials are only temporary illusions, would you still despair? The only thing required of you is to believe, to stand firm in the knowing that the power within you is greater than any challenge before you. Rise. Let your faith be the foundation upon which you stand. Let your imagination be the architect of your future, and let your heart rest, for you are never alone. God is standing by you, now and always. The life you see before you is nothing more than a reflection of the thoughts and beliefs you have accepted as true. It is easy to look at hardship and think it defines you, that your current struggle is the measure of who you are. But the truth is far greater. What you see now is simply the result of past assumptions, past states of being, past beliefs. And just as the past does not dictate the future, your present circumstances hold no real power over you, unless you let them. The mind is a powerful thing, shaping reality in ways most fail to comprehend. Everything you experience is filtered through the lens of your assumptions. If you believe you are stuck, if you accept that struggle is your fate, then the world will shape itself to reflect that. But the moment you decide, truly decide, that a new reality is yours, everything begins to shift. The circumstances that once seemed immovable start to change. Opportunities arise where there were none. The weight that once pressed upon you begins to lift. Why? Because the world outside is nothing more than a mirror reflecting back what you persist in believing. It is tempting to define yourself by what you see. If you are struggling financially, it is easy to call yourself poor. If you are alone, you may label yourself unworthy of love. If life has been difficult, you may come to believe that you are simply meant to suffer. But these are just passing conditions, not eternal truths. The greatest mistake one can make is to assume that temporary circumstances are permanent. Yet, this is what so many do. They see hardship and claim it as their identity. But you must understand, circumstances do not define you. Your assumptions do. Consider for a moment a person who has failed time and time again. If they allow failure to define them, they will continue to fail. But if they refuse to accept that failure is their truth, if they choose to see themselves as someone destined for success, then the world will shift to match their inner conviction. This is not wishful thinking. It is not empty hope. It is the law by which all things are created. The moment you detach from what you see and instead claim what you desire as your reality, everything must change. But to do this, you must be willing to let go of the idea that what is in front of you now is final. It is not. It never was. The hardship, the struggle, the pain. It is all fleeting, waiting for you to assume something greater. Many will say, but how can I ignore what is happening? How can I believe in abundance when I have nothing? How can I feel loved when I'm alone? The answer is simple yet profound. Because what you accept in your mind will become what you experience in your world. You must learn to see beyond the present moment, to trust that what is unseen is just as real, if not more real, than what is before you. Think of a seed buried beneath the earth. It is invisible to the eye, yet within it lies the potential for a towering tree. If you judge the seed by what is seen, you would dismiss it as nothing, but given time and the right conditions, it will grow, breaking through the soil, reaching toward the sky. Your beliefs are the same. At first, they may not seem to change anything, but persist in them, nourish them, refuse to abandon them, and soon the world must reshape itself to reflect them. The greatest transformation begins not with effort, but with conviction. Struggle does not end by fighting against it. It ends by shifting your awareness away from it. The more you define yourself by your hardships, the more they persist. The moment you withdraw your attention from them and claim something new, you set into motion an unseen power that will rearrange everything in your favor. So, if you find yourself in difficult circumstances, do not despair. Do not let the world convince you that this is all there is. You are far greater than any situation you face. You are not defined by lack, by pain, by failure. These things are merely shadows, temporary reflections of an old state of being. The only truth that matters is the one you choose to accept. Take a moment, close your eyes. Feel in the deepest part of yourself the truth that you are not bound by anything outside of you. See yourself as already free, already abundant, already loved. Hold on to that vision. Live in it, breathe in it, until it feels more real than what your eyes see. For what you persist in assuming, you must one day experience. There is a great misunderstanding in the world, a belief that God exists somewhere far away, beyond the reach of human experience. People look to the heavens, to sacred places, to external signs, hoping to find proof of the divine. They call out in desperation, searching for something that has never been absent. But the truth is simple, yet so profound. God is not outside of you. God is within. From the moment you took your first breath, the divine was there, not as a distant figure watching from above, but as the very life force that moves through you. Every thought you think, every moment of stillness, every stirring of intuition is a whisper from the infinite. You are not separate from this presence, you are one with it. But the world has conditioned you to believe otherwise. It has told you that you must seek, that you must prove yourself worthy, that you must earn the favor of something beyond you. Yet nothing could be further from the truth. You have never been alone, not even in your darkest moments. That quiet voice within you, the one that nudges you forward even when all seems lost, that is the presence of God. That sudden clarity in times of confusion, that inexplicable peace in the midst of chaos, that deep knowing that you are meant for something greater, all of it is evidence that the divine does not merely watch over you but moves within you. Many have spent their lives searching for signs, asking for proof, waiting for something external to validate their faith. But the greatest sign has always been within. If you were to silence the noise of the world, to step away from the fear, the doubt, the distractions, you would hear it. You would feel it. The presence that has never left you, the power that does not need to be summoned because it is already here. Understand this is to transform your life completely. When you accept that God is within you, you stop feeling powerless. You stop pleading, stop begging, stop waiting for something outside of you to change your circumstances. Instead, you recognize that you have been given the greatest gift, the ability to shape your reality from within. What you hold in your mind, what you accept as true in the depths of your being will be reflected in your world, not because you are separate from God, but because you are an extension of the divine itself. You do not need permission to create, to heal, to step into the fullness of who you are. The presence that governs all things already flows through you. It has always been there, waiting for you to awaken to it. When you understand that the divine is not something you must reach for, but something you already are, fear begins to dissolve. There is no longer a need to chase, to struggle, to prove yourself. Instead, you rest in the certainty that you are supported, guided, and deeply loved. And from that place of knowing, your life begins to change. The problems that once seemed overwhelming lose their power over you. You stop looking to the outside world for validation because you recognize that everything begins within. When you align yourself with this truth, doors open, obstacles fade, and the things you once thought impossible become inevitable. Not because some force outside of you has decided to bless you, but because you have stepped into the awareness of what has always been yours. It is in the moments of stillness that you feel it most. When you close your eyes, when you take a deep breath, when you silence the doubts and simply listen. There, in the quiet, is the knowing. The deep, unshakable truth that you have never been abandoned. That even when you felt lost, even when you thought no one heard your prayers, you were being guided. Not by something separate from you, but by the very presence that breathes life into you. So do not search outside yourself for what has always been within. Do not wait for a sign when the greatest proof is already alive in you. The divine is not a distant force, not something you must reach for, not a presence that comes and goes. It is here, now, always. It is in your thoughts, in your desires, in the very essence of who you are. Once you realize this, everything changes. You no longer walk through life feeling separate, powerless, or uncertain. You move with confidence, knowing that you are guided. You face challenges with strength, knowing that you are never alone. You no longer seek love because you understand that you are love. The world may try to convince you otherwise. It may tell you that you are small, that you must earn your place, that you must struggle to be worthy, but none of that is true. You have always been enough. You have always been connected. You have always been divine. So trust it. Trust the stillness within you. Trust the quiet knowing that speaks in moments of clarity. Let go of the idea that you must seek what has never been missing. Stand firm in the truth that God is not outside of you. God is within. And in that knowing, you will find everything you have ever needed. Faith is the unseen force that shapes the reality you live in. It is not wishful thinking, nor is it blind hope in uncertain circumstances. Faith is the absolute conviction that what you accept as true in your mind must take form in the world around you. It is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the cause behind every effect, the force that moves mountains without effort. In moments of hardship, it is easy to believe that circumstances dictate your fate. The world may present obstacles, delays, and disappointments, and the mind, conditioned by past experiences, may whisper doubts. But faith does not waver in the face of appearances. Faith sees beyond what is and holds firm to what will be. It does not ask whether something is possible, it declares it as already done. What you consistently hold in the silence of your mind, whether it be fear or certainty, doubt or assurance, becomes the blueprint of your reality. The world you see is but a reflection of the assumptions you carry. If you assume struggle, struggle will persist. If you assume success, success will find its way to you, not because the world outside is dictating your fate, but because the world is merely responding to the state you embody within. Faith is not about forcing change or struggling against circumstances. It is about knowing with absolute certainty that what you desire already exists in the unseen. There is no need to beg, no need to plead. When you plant a seed in the earth, you do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. You trust that the process is unfolding. Likewise, faith requires you to trust that the unseen is already taking shape. Many people falter because they allow their faith to be shaken by what they see. They declare abundance but react with fear to financial difficulties. They affirm health but let worry consume their minds. Faith does not waver in the face of difficulty. It remains unmoved. It is not swayed by time, nor does it require proof. It is the silent knowing that regardless of what the world shows, what has been accepted as true in the mind must come to pass. Transformation begins the moment you stop looking to the external world for validation and start holding firm to your inner conviction. Even in the midst of struggle, even when nothing seems to be changing, faith demands that you persist in your assumption. It does not matter if the world calls it impossible. It does not matter if circumstances contradict it. The unseen reality is more powerful than anything visible, and with unwavering faith, it must become visible. You are always manifesting, whether you realize it or not. The question is not whether faith works. but what you are placing your faith in. Are you placing it in limitations, in lack, in fear, or are you placing it in the certainty that all things are possible? When you shift your faith from doubt to assurance, from fear to confidence, your world begins to reflect that change. Faith does not mean ignoring difficulties. It means refusing to let difficulties define you. It means knowing that even in the midst of hardship, something greater is at work. It means choosing to see beyond what is and standing firm in the unseen reality you have claimed as your own. This is why transformation is never about the external. It is about what you accept within. Change your inner reality and the outer world must follow. It is not a matter of effort, but of alignment. The moment you believe fully, without hesitation, without questioning, the transformation begins. It may not happen in an instant, but it is already in motion. Just as the seed grows beneath the surface before breaking through the soil, the shift is occurring even when you cannot see it. The key is not to waver, not to let doubt creep in. The moment you entertain doubt, you uproot the seed. But when you hold firm, when you remain steadfast in the truth you have claimed, the world has no choice but to conform. This is the secret to all great transformations. Not effort, not struggle, not waiting for something outside of you to change. It is faith. Faith so unshakable that no external force can break it. Faith so strong that no obstacle can stand against it. Faith so complete that even when the world gives you every reason to doubt, you refuse to accept anything but the reality you have chosen. Your life is a reflection of your deepest convictions. If you do not like what you see, do not fight the world. Change what you hold within. Do not waver between belief and doubt. Stand firm. Do not seek signs in the outer world. Be the sign yourself. Live as though it is already done, and it will be. Faith is not passive. It is the most powerful force in existence. It does not wait for the world to change. It changes the world. And the moment you embrace it fully, your life will never be the same. Difficulties are not meant to break you. They are designed to elevate you. Every challenge, every moment of struggle carries within it the seed of its own resolution. The problem is never the circumstance itself, but how you perceive it. If you see obstacles as permanent, they will appear insurmountable. But if you recognize them as stepping stones, they become pathways to transformation. Life does not bring hardships to punish you. It brings them as opportunities to refine you, to strip away doubt, to reveal the strength and wisdom already within you. When difficulties arise, the natural reaction is resistance. To push against, to fight, to question why they have appeared. Yet resistance only prolongs the struggle. The key is to shift from resistance to acceptance, not as surrender, but as an understanding that within the hardship lies a lesson, a gift, a doorway to something greater. Think back to any trial you have faced. At the time it may have seemed overwhelming, but as you moved through it, you emerged different, stronger, wiser, more aware. If you had never faced that difficulty, you would not have gained the insights it provided. Growth is not found in ease, but in overcoming. Just as pressure turns coal into diamonds, adversity refines and strengthens the soul. Nothing in your life is truly working against you. The obstacles you face are not barriers, they are guides, redirecting you to a higher path. When something falls apart, it is often because something greater is being prepared. When a door closes, it is not rejection but redirection. The challenge is not to mourn what has been lost, but to trust in what is being made ready. The mind, conditioned by fear, often misinterprets difficulties as signs of failure. It tells you that hardship means you are on the wrong path, that suffering is a sign to give up. But the truth is quite the opposite. The very presence of struggle means that something within you is being called to evolve. When you shift your perception, when you embrace difficulties rather than resist them, you unlock their true purpose. There is no challenge that does not come with its own solution. The problem and the answer exist together, like two sides of the same coin. If you focus only on the problem, you blind yourself to the answer. But when you shift your awareness, when you ask, what is this teaching me? What is the opportunity hidden within this? Then clarity begins to emerge. Some of the greatest transformations come disguised as adversity. Many have lost jobs only to discover their true calling. Many have faced heartbreak only to find a deeper, more fulfilling love. Many have been rejected only to realize they were meant for something far greater. What appears to be an end is often just a beginning in disguise. The key is to trust the process, to stop resisting and start flowing, to recognize that life is not happening to you, but for you. Every difficulty is a stepping stone, leading you exactly where you need to be. The only question is whether you will walk forward in faith or remain stuck in fear. When trials come, do not shrink back. Do not lament the struggle. Instead, stand firm. Remind yourself that nothing is against you, that every obstacle is an opportunity, that within every hardship lies the seed of transformation. The moment you stop seeing difficulties as roadblocks and start seeing them as stepping stones, your entire reality shifts. Your life is shaped not by what happens to you, but by how you respond to it. If you see hardship as a curse, it will weigh you down. If you see it as a gift, it will lift you up. Your perception defines your experience. Choose to see trials as the refining fire that strengthens you, and you will move through them with grace and power. No challenge is greater than the power within you. No difficulty is without purpose. Every step, even those that seem painful, is leading you forward. Trust that process. Trust that life is unfolding exactly as it should. And most of all, trust that within every trial lies the key to something far greater than you can yet imagine. Everything you see in your world first existed in the unseen realm of imagination. The house you live in, the chair you sit on, the very device you use to read these words. Each of these began as an idea before it became reality. The same is true for your life. The circumstances you experience today are the direct result of what you have imagined, whether consciously or unconsciously. Imagination is not a passive daydream, but the creative force that shapes your reality. It is the blueprint from which the world molds itself around you. The life you desire already exists in the unseen. Your role is to accept it in imagination and trust that it must take form. There is no exception to this law. What you persistently hold in your mind, you will experience in time. Lack, sorrow, and fear only persist when you accept them as your reality. They are not permanent, they are simply reflections of past beliefs. If you continue to focus on them, they will continue to appear. But the moment you shift your inner state, when you refuse to accept limitation and instead embrace abundance, joy, and confidence in your imagination, your external world will follow. Many people believe they must first see a change before they can believe it is real. But this is an illusion. All change begins within. You must first see it in imagination, feel it as real in your inner world, before the outer world can conform. Just as a seed must be planted in the soil before a tree can grow, your desires must first be planted in the fertile ground of your imagination. The mistake most people make is allowing external conditions to dictate their inner state. If they see lack, they imagine more lack. If they experience sorrow, they dwell on sorrow. But to truly transform your life, you must do the opposite. You must refuse to be ruled by what your senses tell you and instead trust in the unseen. The world is not fixed, it is fluid, always shifting in response to your inner convictions. If you desire wealth, you must first embody the feeling of wealth in imagination. If you seek love, you must first feel deeply loved within. If you long for peace, you must first assume the state of peace in your mind. The world cannot give you what you have not first accepted internally. It does not work the other way around. Some may argue, how can I feel abundant when my bank account is empty? Or how can I feel loved when I am alone? But this is where the power of imagination comes in. It is not about pretending, it is about knowing. When you close your eyes and fully immerse yourself in the experience of already having what you seek, when you feel the joy, the gratitude, the relief of already possessing it, you shift into the state where it must become your reality. Doubt is the only barrier between you and your desires. The moment you question whether your imagination has power, you delay its fulfillment. But the moment you accept that imagination precedes reality, that what you claim internally must be expressed externally, you step into the creative role you were meant to embody. It does not matter how long the outer world has reflected limitation. It can change in an instant. The moment you assume a new state, the unseen forces of life begin working to bring it into form. Paths open, opportunities arise, people and circumstances shift in ways you could never predict. You do not have to control the how. Your only role is to remain faithful to the vision. Think of your imagination as a sculptor and your world as clay. The form you hold in your mind is the mold, and life takes its shape accordingly. If you do not like what you see, do not fight the world. Shape a new vision, one that aligns with your desires, and persist in that vision regardless of what appears before you. This is not wishful thinking. This is the fundamental law by which reality operates. You are already using imagination every day, whether you realize it or not. If you dwell on problems, you are imagining more problems. If you constantly fear failure, you are imagining failure into being. The key is to take control of this power, to direct it consciously toward the life you desire. Imagination is the beginning of all things. If you would change your life, you must first change your inner world. See yourself as already successful, already fulfilled, already living the life you desire. Hold that vision with unwavering faith. What you accept in imagination must unfold in reality. This is law. Trust it, live by it, and watch as your world transforms before your eyes. There is a presence that never wavers, never withdraws, never turns away. It is the presence of God, the unshakable force of love that upholds all things. No matter how the world shifts, no matter how circumstances appear, this presence remains unchanged. In moments of chaos, when life feels uncertain and burdens seem too heavy to bear, it may feel as though you are alone. But the truth is, you have never been abandoned. God's love does not come and go like the changing of the seasons. It is constant, eternal, and always near. It is easy to look at the outside world and mistake its instability for the nature of life itself. Relationships shift, fortunes rise and fall, the body ages, and circumstances seem to change without warning. If you base your sense of security on these external things, you will always feel uncertain, always searching, always hoping for something solid to hold on to. But there is something deeper, something unmovable, something that does not bend with the winds of change. That something is the presence of God within you. This presence is not found in the noise of the world. It is not in the opinions of others, nor in the fleeting nature of material things. It is found in the quiet, in the stillness, in the moments when you close your eyes and listen, not with your ears, but with your soul. When you do, you will realize that the love of God has been there all along, waiting for you to recognize it. People seek love outside of themselves, believing it must come from another person, from approval, from achievement. They long for connection, for reassurance, for something to tell them they are valued. But true love, the deepest, most abiding love, is not something you need to earn. It is not something that can be given or taken away. It is the essence of who you are, the very breath that moves through you. God does not love you because of what you do or do not do. This love is not conditional. It does not fluctuate based on your successes or failures. It does not retreat when you feel lost, nor does it diminish when you feel unworthy. It is steadfast, unchanging, and infinite. You do not need to prove yourself to be deserving of it. You already are. When difficulties arise, it is easy to feel forsaken. Pain has a way of convincing you that you are alone, that no one sees, that no one cares. But this is an illusion. The love of God is nearer to you than your own heartbeat, woven into your very being. If you could silence the doubts, the fears, the restless thoughts for just a moment, you would feel it. In the quiet, in the stillness, in the space between thoughts, there it is. The presence that has never left you, not for a single moment. There is no place you can go where this love is not. No depth of despair, no height of joy. No moment of confusion where God's presence is absent. It does not withdraw when you make mistakes, nor does it increase when you do things right. It simply is, unchanging, unwavering, ever present. When life becomes overwhelming, when you feel lost in the tides of uncertainty, return to the silence within. Close your eyes. Breathe. Let go of the need to control, to understand, to force things into place. In that space you will find peace. Not because the world has changed, but because you have remembered that you are not alone. You are held, you are seen, you are deeply, profoundly loved. Faith is not about never experiencing hardship. It is about knowing that even in the hardest moments, you are not abandoned. Even in sorrow, even in confusion, even in the darkest nights of the soul, there is a presence that remains. A love that does not waver, a strength that does not falter. The mind will question, the world will shift, but love, true divine love, is the one thing that remains. It is the rock beneath your feet, the stillness in the storm, the whisper in the quiet moments, reminding you that you are enough, that you are whole, that you are loved beyond measure. No matter what happens, no matter how uncertain things seem, trust this: you are never alone. Listen, not with your ears, but with your soul. Be still, and you will know. The presence of God is here, now, always. It is unshakable. It is love. It is yours. To every trial, every hardship, and every moment of uncertainty, one truth remains unshaken. God is with you, not as a distant force, not as something outside of you, but as the very presence that breathes life into your being. Your circumstances do not define you, for they are but reflections of past beliefs, and you hold the power to transform them. The divine presence is not something to seek elsewhere, for it has never left you. It dwells within, guiding you through unseen ways. Faith is the key that unlocks transformation. What you accept as true within yourself must eventually take form in the world around you. Difficulties are not meant to break you, but to shape you, to lead you to a greater awareness of who you truly are. And as you embrace this understanding, as you recognize that imagination precedes reality, you will no longer fear the shifting tides of life. Instead, you will stand firm, knowing that you are held in an unshakable presence of love. No matter how much the world changes, no matter how much uncertainty you may face, one thing remains constant: God's love never wavers. In your quiet moments, listen. Be still, and you will know the truth. You have never been alone. You are deeply loved, eternally guided, and infinitely supported. Walk forward with confidence, trust, and faith, knowing that all you need has already been given. Thank you for listening, and may you carry this truth in your heart always. There is no need to wonder if God's presence is within you. It has always been there. The real question is, have you awakened to it? If you carry God's presence, it is not because of something external. It is not earned through effort, rituals, or the approval of others. No, it is something much deeper. It is a state of being, an inner knowing that you and God are one. You recognize this presence in how effortlessly life flows for you. Where others struggle, you walk with ease. When they worry, you remain still. Why? Because you do not see reality as something happening to you, but rather through you. The world reflects your inner state, and your inner state is one of divine certainty. You no longer beg for blessings. You expect them, not out of arrogance, but out of an unshakable truth that what you seek is already yours. When you speak, you do not hope, you declare. And the world bends to your words, not because of force, but because of alignment. People notice something different about you. They may not be able to put it into words, but they feel it. Your peace, your unwavering confidence, your ability to manifest things that others only dream of. It is undeniable. Opportunities come effortlessly. Doors open before you knock, and you find yourself in the right place at the right time. Why? Because you do not see God as separate from you. You do not seek His presence. You carry it. The moment you awaken to this truth, everything changes. The struggle ends, the doubts disappear, and you walk not as someone hoping for a miracle, but as someone who is the miracle. You were never meant to live in lack, fear, or uncertainty. The very presence of God resides within you. So walk boldly, knowing that all you desire is already yours. Because you do not just believe in God, you carry His presence. Your imagination is far more than a fleeting thought, a passive daydream, or an idle fantasy. It is the divine force within you, the very power that shapes your reality. The world you see around you, every event, every interaction, every opportunity or challenge, is simply a reflection of the state of your inner world. The mind is not merely a passive observer of reality, it is the creator of it. When you understand this truth, your entire relationship with life changes. No longer do you feel as if you are at the mercy of external circumstances. Instead, you begin to see that life is responding to you, molding itself to the impressions you hold within. Many people live as though the outer world is something fixed, something happening to them, rather than something being shaped by them. They believe that luck, fate, or external forces dictate their experiences. And so they react. They respond with fear when things go wrong, with frustration when obstacles appear, and with doubt when their desires seem out of reach. But all of these reactions stem from a misunderstanding of the nature of reality. The outer world is not separate from you. It is you. It is the manifestation of what you accept and assume to be true in the depths of your consciousness. When you hold a belief strongly enough, you begin to see evidence of it everywhere. If you believe that people are untrustworthy, you will notice deception, dishonesty, and betrayal at every turn. But if you believe that people are kind, generous, and full of goodness, those are the qualities that will reveal themselves to you. This is not a coincidence. The world is simply mirroring back the assumptions you carry. Your imagination is the architect of your experiences. Every thought you dwell upon, every emotion you consistently feel, every mental image you entertain is shaping the reality you will encounter. This is why it is so important to guard your mind, to be conscious of the inner conversations you are having with yourself. The mind is always creating. The only question is whether you are using it deliberately or unconsciously. If you desire to see a change in your life, you must first change the way you think and feel. You cannot expect abundance while dwelling in thoughts of lack. You cannot attract love while carrying the assumption that you are unworthy. You cannot experience success while constantly imagining failure. The outer world is a perfect reflection of the inner world. What you hold in mind, you hold in hand. The power of imagination is not limited by logic, reason, or past experiences. It transcends what the senses tell you is possible. This is why it is so important to live from the state of the wish fulfilled, to imagine and feel as if your desire has already been realized, to shift your consciousness to the version of yourself that already possesses what you seek. When you persist in this new assumption, the world has no choice but to conform. This is not mere wishful thinking. It's the very foundation upon which reality is built. Everything that has ever been created, every great achievement, every work of art, every scientific breakthrough, first existed in the mind before it became tangible. The same is true for your life. The circumstances you experience are born from the thoughts and emotions you entertain most consistently. Many people unknowingly use their imagination against themselves. They dwell in worst-case scenarios. They replay painful memories. They reinforce limiting beliefs. And then they wonder why their life continues to reflect struggle and disappointment. But just as a gardener must be mindful of the seeds they plant, you must be mindful of the thoughts you nurture. You must discipline yourself to imagine only what you wish to experience, to entertain only those ideas that align with your highest vision. When you understand that imagination is not a passive force, but an active creative power, you begin to take responsibility for your inner world. You no longer allow fear, doubt, or negativity to take root in your mind. Instead, you deliberately choose the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that align with the reality you wish to experience. This is the secret of those who seem to move through life with ease, attracting opportunities effortlessly, manifesting their desires with precision. They are not lucky. They have simply mastered the art of assuming the state of their wish fulfilled. They understand that reality is fluid, shaped by consciousness, and they use this knowledge to their advantage. You have this same power. You have always had it. The only thing that has ever stood in your way is the belief that you were powerless. But now you know the truth. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the creator of them. The world is responding to you in every moment, reflecting back the state of your mind. Ask yourself, what are you imagining? What are you consistently believing? What assumptions are you living from? If they do not align with the life you desire, then it is time to change them. Begin today. Assume that all you wish for is already yours. Live in the feeling of the fulfilled desire. Walk in the certainty that the world will reflect your inner state. There will always be moments in life when the world seems to shake around you, when the unexpected arrives uninvited, and when circumstances appear to be against you. It is in these moments that most people react with fear, anxiety, and doubt, believing they are at the mercy of forces beyond their control. But you must come to understand that no storm, no upheaval, no temporary hardship has the power to move you unless you allow it. The one who is truly awake, who understands the nature of reality, does not react in fear. They do not panic when things appear to be falling apart, nor do they allow external chaos to disturb their inner world. Why? Because they know a truth deeper than what the senses reveal. A truth that says, all things, even those that seem troubling in the moment, are working in perfect alignment for their highest good. You may not always see how, but that does not matter. The need to control, to force outcomes, to resist what is happening is the very thing that creates suffering. When you stand firm in the knowing that nothing in this world is against you, that every challenge is an opportunity in disguise, you remain unshaken. The storm may rage around you, but within there is perfect stillness. This is not about ignoring reality or pretending difficulties do not exist. It is about shifting your perception so that you no longer see them as obstacles but as stepping stones. Every trial, every delay, every moment of discomfort is only a bridge leading you to something greater. The universe is never working against you. It is always rearranging itself for your benefit. But if you meet resistance with resistance, you only prolong the struggle. If instead you accept the moment as it is, with a quiet trust that all things are unfolding in divine order, you move through difficulties with ease. Think of water. When faced with an obstacle, it does not fight, it does not resist. It flows around, over, or through whatever stands in its way, always moving toward its destination. You too must learn to move like water, to adapt, to trust, to know that nothing can truly stop you unless you believe it can. Most people react to circumstances based on appearances. If things seem to be falling apart, they assume something is wrong. If delays arise, they assume they have been denied. But what if you began to see things differently? What if you trusted that every seeming setback was actually a setup for something greater? What if you believed that every closed door was redirecting you to something far better than what you originally sought? The difference between those who crumble under pressure and those who remain strong is not in the events they face, but in how they interpret them. A person who understands that life is always working in their favor does not see difficulties as punishment, but as preparation. They remain calm even in the midst of uncertainty, because they trust that what is meant for them cannot be lost, and what leaves their life was never truly theirs to begin with. This peace is not something external, does not come from perfect circumstances, from everything going exactly as planned. It comes from within. It comes from a deep knowing that you are never alone, that the same force that created the universe is guiding your every step. When you embrace this truth, fear loses its power over you. You no longer waste energy on worry because you understand that there is nothing to fear. Has worry ever changed an outcome? Has fear ever improved a situation? The answer is always no. Yet how often do people allow these emotions to consume them, to dictate their actions, to rob them of peace? The moment you recognize the futility of fear is the moment you free yourself from its grip. True peace is not found in the absence of challenges, but in the presence of unwavering trust. It is the ability to stand in the middle of chaos and know, beyond any doubt, that you are protected, that you are guided, that all things are unfolding for your highest good. It is knowing that even if you cannot see the full picture now, it is coming together in ways more perfect than you could ever plan. So, when the storms of life arise, do not be shaken. Do not let appearances deceive you. Hold firm to the truth that nothing is ever lost, nothing is ever against you, and nothing can disturb your inner world unless you allow it. When you cultivate this kind of faith, the world itself bends to your certainty. Situations resolve themselves in your favor, solutions appear effortlessly, and what once seemed like a problem reveals itself to be a hidden blessing. You were never meant to live in fear. You were never meant to struggle against life. You were meant to flow, to trust, to walk with an unshakable confidence that no matter what happens, you are always exactly where you need to be. The universe is never late, never wrong, and never cruel. It is always responding to you, guiding you, leading you to the fulfillment of all that you desire. Hold on to this truth, and you will find that no storm, no challenge, no moment of uncertainty has the power to move you. You will stand in the midst of chaos with a calm heart, knowing that all is well. And as you do, you will watch the storm pass, revealing the clear skies that were always waiting on the other side. The words you speak are not empty sounds. They are carriers of power, shaping your reality in ways beyond what the eyes can immediately see. Every declaration you make sets unseen forces into motion, either bringing forth what you desire or reinforcing the very limitations you seek to escape. Most people speak without awareness, carelessly affirming lack, struggle, and limitation, unaware that their words are planting seeds that will surely take root and bear fruit in their lives. When you understand the true nature of your words, you no longer speak idly. You do not complain, you do not curse your situation, and you do not affirm things you do not wish to experience. Instead, you speak with intention, knowing that your words carry authority. You declare what is true from the highest state of consciousness, and because you are in divine alignment, your words do not return to you empty. They manifest. This is not about speaking wishfully, hoping that if you say something enough times it might happen. It is about knowing deep within your being that what you declare is already yours. There is no room for doubt, no space for hesitation. When you say, "It is done," it is done. When you say, "I am abundant," you are abundant. When you say, "Everything is working in my favor," the universe arranges itself to prove you right. But the power of your words is not just in what you say aloud, it begins in your inner dialogue. Before anything is spoken, it is first thought, and before it is thought, it is felt. If your heart is full of fear, your words will reflect that fear. If your mind is filled with doubt, your declarations will be weak, spoken with uncertainty rather than conviction. This is why true authority over your words comes from aligning yourself with the truth that already exists within you. Few audiences are ever conscious of the truth that already exists within you. You do not need to beg, to plead, or to try harder. You simply need to recognize that what you speak from a place of absolute knowing must become your reality. Just as a king does not question whether his decree will be carried out, you must not question whether your words will manifest. They will, because you are speaking from the consciousness of one who knows their place in the divine order. When you align with this truth, your words carry a force that shifts the very atmosphere around you. You will notice that when you declare peace, the room feels different. When you speak of prosperity, opportunities begin to appear. When you bless others, their lives change. This is not coincidence, it is law. The spoken word is an extension of your inner world, and when your inner world is aligned with divine truths, your words become the bridge between the unseen and the seen. But with great power comes great responsibility. If your words have the ability to create, they also have the ability to destroy. Every word of doubt, every phrase of limitation, every casual complaint is a misuse of this power. How often do people say, "Nothing ever works out for me," and then experience precisely that? How often do they declare, "I'm always struggling," and life faithfully confirms their statement? The universe does not filter your words, it simply reflects them back to you. This is why you must be disciplined in your speech. You must train yourself to speak only that which you desire to see, to affirm only that which serves your highest good. When negative thoughts arise, you do not give them life by speaking them. Instead, you replace them with declarations of truth. If lack whispers to you, you say, "I am abundant." If fear tries to take hold, you declare, "I am safe, I am guided, I am supported." You do not entertain anything less than what aligns with your highest reality. This is the way of those who walk in true power. They do not speak from their current conditions. They speak from their knowing. They do not describe what is, they declare what will be. And because they do so with conviction, the world rearranges itself accordingly. This power is already within you. You do not need to acquire it, for it has always been yours. But you must learn to use it wisely. Let every word you speak be filled with certainty, purpose, and divine truth. Speak as one who knows, not as one who hopes. Speak as one who commands, not as one who wishes. And as you do, watch how life transforms before your very eyes. Watch how people respond differently to you, how doors open where there were once walls, how opportunities arise effortlessly. This is not magic, nor is it luck. It is the natural outworking of a truth that has always been. What you declare with authority from a place of divine alignment must come to pass. So choose your words wisely. Speak only what you want to see. Let your declarations be unwavering, and let them come from the deep, knowing that you are already one with the fulfillment of your desires. For when you speak in this way, you do not simply make statements, you shape reality itself. Faith is not an empty hope, nor is it a desperate plea for things to change. It is a knowing, a deep, unshakable certainty that what you have assumed is already yours. While others look for signs, waiting for proof before they believe, you understand that belief itself is the cause, and the world simply arranges itself to match that which you already accept as true. Most people live in fear because they are controlled by what they see. They allow their circumstances to dictate their beliefs, and so they remain bound by their current reality. They say, "I will believe it when I see it," not realizing that by doing so they push their desires further away. You, however, understand the truth. Belief precedes the miracle. It is not the evidence that creates faith. It is faith that creates the evidence. You walk through life with a quiet confidence, a knowing that does not waver regardless of appearances. You do not need to ask for reassurance, nor do you seek signs to confirm what you already accept as real. You understand that the moment you assume something to be true, it is set in motion. The world may take time to catch up, but that does not concern you. You do not need to see it immediately, for you know it is already done. When others panic, you remain still. When circumstances seem to contradict your vision, you do not react. You do not question, "Where is it?" or "Why hasn't it happened yet?" because you know that such questions only reveal doubt. And doubt is the very thing that prevents what you desire from coming into your life. Instead, you remain steadfast. You live as though the promise is already fulfilled, because in your mind it is. The difference between those who struggle and those who manifest effortlessly is this: one waits for confirmation, while the other creates it. The one who waits remains in limbo, forever unsure, forever questioning, forever hoping but never truly believing. The one who creates simply accepts, and by accepting, they make it so. There is no hesitation in your faith. You do not waver between belief and doubt, between confidence and fear. You do not place your trust in the changing circumstances of the world, for you know they are merely reflections of past assumptions. Instead, you place your trust in the unseen, in the reality that exists beyond what the senses can perceive. And because you do this, the world eventually conforms to match the image you hold in your mind. This is why you do not plead, you do not beg, you do not chase. You do not act as though you lack, because to do so would only affirm that you do not yet have what you desire. Instead, you carry yourself as one who already possesses it. You speak as one who already has it. You think as one for whom it is already reality. To the outside world, this may seem like arrogance, but you know it is not. It is simply the natural way of being for those who understand the power within them. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. You do not need to justify your faith. You only need to remain unwavering in your knowing, and all things will be added unto you. It is not enough to merely say you believe. It must be reflected in how you move through life. When you believe, you are not anxious. When you believe, you do not question. When you believe, you do not look to the outside world for validation. You trust. You rest. You walk forward with the certainty of one who already knows the outcome. And because of this, reality bends to your will. Things shift in ways you could never have predicted. Doors open effortlessly. The right people appear at the right time. What seemed impossible suddenly becomes not only possible, but inevitable. This is the difference between those who are ruled by fear and those who walk in faith. Fear hesitates. Fear questions. Fear needs proof. But faith moves forward with absolute conviction, knowing that what is unseen is more real than what is seen. You do not wait for permission. You do not wait for the world to confirm what you already know. You simply assume it is done, and by that assumption, it becomes so. While others search for signs, you are the sign. While others wait for proof, you are the proof. Your unwavering faith is the very thing that shapes your reality. And because you live in this way, your life becomes a reflection of your certainty. You no longer hope, you know. You no longer seek, you already have. You no longer fear, you trust completely. And in that trust, in that knowing, in that unwavering faith, miracles are no longer rare occurrences. They are simply the natural result of one who understands the truth. What you believe with absolute certainty must become reality. There is something about you that draws people in. You do not have to seek attention, and you do not have to convince anyone of your presence. It happens effortlessly. Wherever you go, people are naturally drawn to you, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. You radiate something intangible, something unseen yet deeply felt. There is a calmness in your being, an inner peace that is unaffected by the chaos of the world. You are not easily shaken, and that alone makes others take notice. In a world where most people are lost in fear, doubt, and confusion, you stand apart. You do not react the way they do. You do not operate from desperation. You do not seek validation. Instead, you move with a quiet confidence, a knowing that does not waver. People sense this about you. They may not always understand it, but they feel it. It is in the way you speak, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you remain calm when others panic. You do not chase, yet opportunities find you. You do not beg for attention, yet people are magnetized to your energy. You do not need to announce your presence, because your very being speaks louder than words ever could. The secret is simple. You are in alignment with something greater. You are not caught up in the illusion of lack, nor do you dwell in the energy of striving. You have realized that your very nature is abundance, and because you live in that truth, everything flows to you effortlessly. You do not fight for recognition, yet people recognize you. You do not seek authority, yet people look to you for guidance. You do not demand respect, yet it is given to you freely. This is not something that can be faked. It is not a performance. It is simply the natural effect of being fully present, fully aware, fully connected to the divine presence within you. You have become a vessel through which peace, wisdom, and clarity flow, and those who are lost in the storm of life instinctively seek the calm that you embody. When you speak, you do not speak to impress. You do not try to convince. You do not need to. Your words carry weight because they are spoken from a place of truth. There is no desperation in them, no need for approval, no attachment to how they are received. And because of that, people listen. They lean in. They seek your presence not because you ask them to, but because something within them recognizes something within you. It is not about external success or material possessions. It is not about titles or achievements. It is about the energy you carry. You have become the embodiment of stillness in a world of noise, the presence of certainty in a world of doubt, the light in a world that often feels dark. You do not force anyone to follow you. You do not need to. Those who are ready will find you. Those who are seeking something deeper will be drawn to you. It is effortless because it is natural. Just as a flame does not need to beg the moth to come closer, your presence naturally attracts those who resonate with your frequency. But this is not about gaining followers or seeking admiration. That is not your concern. You simply live in alignment, and by doing so, you illuminate the path for others. You do not push, you do not pull, you simply are, and that alone is enough. People may ask, what is it about you? They may try to put it into words, but they will find it difficult. It is not something that can be explained, it can only be felt. It is the energy of someone who knows who they are, someone who does not waver, someone who does not need to prove anything, someone who moves through the world with grace, certainty, and unwavering peace. There is no effort in this. There is no need to try to be magnetic. The more you align with your true nature, the more naturally this happens. The more you let go of the need to control, the more things flow toward you. The less you seek, the more you receive. There comes a moment when you realize that life is not something you must struggle against. You no longer force things, you no longer chase, and you certainly do not beg. Instead, you move with a quiet confidence, knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. You have stepped into the flow of divine timing, and because of that, things happen effortlessly. You are no longer caught up in the illusion of lack, nor do you believe that opportunities must be grasped with desperation. You understand that what is meant for you cannot miss you, and what is not meant for you cannot stay. This knowing frees you from the exhausting cycle of striving. You do not push, and yet things move in your favor. You do not plead, and yet doors open. You do not manipulate, and yet life aligns perfectly. It is not that you are passive, it is that you trust. You know that there is a perfect sequence to everything. Just as the sun rises at its appointed time, just as the seasons change in their due course, so too does everything in your life unfold with divine precision. When you stop trying to force outcomes, you begin to notice the synchronicities, the small but undeniable signs that you are exactly where you need to be. You think of someone and they suddenly call you. You need an answer and it appears in the most unexpected way. You take a turn down an unfamiliar street and find yourself face to face with an opportunity you never saw coming. Some call these coincidences, but you know better. Nothing is random. Every event, every encounter, every delay, and every redirection is happening in perfect harmony with your highest good. Most people do not see this because they are too busy trying to control everything. They chase after what they believe they need, never realizing that their desperation is repelling it. They force things to happen before their time, only to find that what arrives too soon does not last. But you are different. You have learned the power of patience, the wisdom of trust, and the art of allowing. You move as if you already have everything you desire. And because you do not act from a place of neediness, life responds to you in kind. The things you once struggled to attain now seem to find their way to you effortlessly. The people you once tried to impress are now drawn to you naturally. The doors you once knocked on without answer now open without effort. You have become a master of divine timing because you have surrendered to it. You no longer resist the delays, knowing that every moment of waiting is a moment of preparation. You no longer mourn what has left, knowing that its departure has created space for something greater. You do not lament closed doors, because you understand that they were never yours to walk through. There is no fear in this way of being, only deep peace. There is no worry, only assurance. You wake up each day not wondering how things will work out, but knowing that they already have. And because you carry this certainty within you, life reflects it back to you. The right people appear, the right opportunities present themselves, the right circumstances unfold with effortless precision. It is not luck, it is alignment. It is the result of understanding that you are not separate from the flow of life. You are part of it. When you align yourself with this truth, you stop feeling the need to fight against it. You no longer question the timing of things, nor do you doubt that what you seek is also seeking you. You trust your intuition, knowing that it is guiding you with perfect accuracy. You listen to the subtle nudges, the quiet knowing, the gentle pull in a certain direction. And because you honor these signs instead of ignoring them, you find yourself exactly where you need to be, exactly when you need to be there. Others may look at your life and wonder how things come so easily for you. They may think you are simply lucky or that you have some secret advantage. But you know the truth, the only secret is surrender. The only advantage is trust. The only luck is being in alignment with divine timing. And so you walk through life with ease, never in a rush, never grasping, never forcing. You do not worry about the future, nor do you dwell in the past. You are fully present, knowing that each moment is leading you to the next in perfect harmony. You do not need to chase, because what is meant for you will always find you. You do not need to beg, because you already possess everything within you. You move with certainty, you act with faith, and because of that, life unfolds for you in ways that others cannot comprehend. You are always in the right place at the right time, not because you tried to be, but because you allowed yourself to be led. There comes a time when you no longer wish, hope, or plead for the things you desire. You simply know. You know that what you desire is already yours, that it already exists, and that nothing stands between you and its manifestation. This is not a belief you force upon yourself, nor is it a technique you practice with effort. It is a knowing that settles deep within you, a quiet certainty that transforms the way you move through life. Most people see their desires as distant, as things to be acquired through struggle, effort, and time. They place their dreams somewhere in the future, always just beyond their reach. But you are different. You do not see time as an obstacle, nor do you see any separation between yourself and what you seek. You understand that the moment you claim something as yours, it begins moving toward you, just as you begin moving toward it. There is no delay, no distance, only a process unfolding in perfect harmony. Because of this, your desires manifest quickly. While others wait and wonder, you walk in the certainty of already having. You do not speak of what you want as if it is missing. You speak as if it is already here. And because you live in this state of fulfillment, life has no choice but to reflect it back to you. The external world must conform to the internal reality you have accepted. There is no force in this, no strain, no grasping. You do not chase after your desires because you know that what belongs to you will always come. You do not beg for things to appear because you understand that the very act of begging affirms their absence. Instead, you live as though your desires are already realized, and in doing so, you make them real. This is not about pretending. It is not about wishful thinking or playing a role. It is about truly embodying the state of having. If you desire abundance, you do not wait for money to show up before you feel wealthy. You walk, speak, and think as a person who already possesses all they need. You carry yourself with the ease and assurance of one who is taken care of, and because of that, life brings you the very experiences that confirm this truth. If you desire love, you do not wait for someone to complete you. You do not dwell in loneliness or longing, for to do so is to affirm separation. Instead, you cultivate the feeling of being deeply loved, knowing that love is not something external, but something you radiate from within. And as you embody this state, love manifests effortlessly, drawn to you as a natural reflection of your inner reality. You understand now that all creation begins within, that the external world is only a mirror, showing you what you have already accepted as true in your inner world. This is why your desires come to you so quickly, because you do not see them as something outside yourself. You no longer wait for proof before you believe. You believe, and then the proof arrives. This is the great shift, the moment when desire transforms from a distant hope into a present reality. You do not ask, "How will this happen?" or "When will it come?" because those questions belong to those who doubt. Instead, you say, "It is done," and you rest in that knowing. You do not waver, you do not second guess, you do not allow the outer world to shake your conviction. Even if nothing appears to be happening, you remain unmoved, because you know that what is unseen is always more powerful than what is seen. You understand that the physical world is slow to catch up with the reality you have already established within. And so you walk through life with a quiet assurance. You are not in a rush because you know it is already yours. You do not seek validation because you have nothing to prove. You do not let circumstances dictate your belief because you know that circumstances are only temporary. You remain steadfast in the state of having, and because of that, what you have claimed must appear. Others will look at you and wonder how things happen so easily for you. They will assume you are lucky, that you have some unseen advantage. But you know the truth. Your only advantage is your awareness. You have aligned yourself with the divine, and because of that, your desires no longer feel separate from you. They are part of you, as natural as the air you breathe. This is why manifestation is not about effort. It is about certainty. It is about knowing so deeply that no external evidence can shake you. When you reach this state, nothing is out of reach. Everything flows effortlessly because you are not trying to make things happen. You are simply allowing them to unfold. And so you move forward, not as someone who is waiting for their desires to appear, but as someone who already has them. You do not look to the world for confirmation. You provide your own confirmation within. You do not wait for change. You are the change. You are no longer separate from what you desire, and because of that, it must come. It is not a question of if, but when, and you already know the answer. What is it? It is now. Everything you seek is already within you. There is no separation between you and your desires, only the illusion of time, doubt, and external validation. When you understand that your inner world is the true creator of your reality, you stop waiting and start knowing. You no longer chase, force, or beg for what is already yours. Instead, you embody the state of having, and life rearranges itself to reflect that truth. You walk with unshakable faith, speak with divine authority, and remain at peace no matter the circumstances. People are drawn to you, synchronicities unfold effortlessly, and your desires manifest with ease. Not because you are lucky, but because you are aligned. You have stepped into the awareness of who you truly are, and in doing so you have unlocked the limitless power within you. So, trust, believe, rest in the knowing that all is already yours. Live as if it is done, and it must be so. Thank you.